Hello everyone and welcome to another car profile, and as you can see it's a Volkswagen Beetle Gr3 car, so a Vision Gran Turismo car. Obviously that means it's not a real life car in use, but it's been adapted for this category, and you know, it's a good category. I love GT3, which is why we're doing these tests. So it's front engined rear wheel drive. Originally I thought it might be mid engine rear wheel drive, but it's not, it's front engine rear wheel drive. So my thoughts instantly changed because I thought it would act very similar to the 911. But it does a little bit, but it's slightly different in that sense as well. Now it's a very short wheelbase, the Beetle, so it's going to handle very well with quick changes of direction, which when I've driven it on the 4 circuit it's going to do, it does do that. It changes direction very quickly because of the shorter wheelbase. So let's go to Brands Hatch first of all, which is obviously a fast flowing circuit. It's all about handling here. Obviously a bit of speed in there as well. We're coming to Paddock Hill Bend, absolutely no issues. I couldn't decide between 3rd or 4th gear, so I was playing around the entire 15 laps with that. It didn't seem any issues or weakness using just 4th gear or just using 3rd gear. So coming out of Druids there, absolutely no issues at all really. It's like a bit of oversteer, nothing major really. It was kind of nice, to be honest. As we head up to this left hand, obviously this is a real test of stability on this corner, so I always dropped it to 2nd gear. I felt I had more stability, so it drives similar to a 911 in that sense, in that the higher up in the rev range it seems to become more stable compared to mid to low end in 2nd and 3rd gear especially. Obviously it does suffer with those usual issues there in terms of 2nd and 3rd gear in this class. No issues there, or no issues here either, to be honest. 4th gear, unusually it's 4th, not 3rd, but the reason is it's got 7 gears, similar to the Renault, which is why you're sort of up a gear on everything really, but you never really touch 7th gear, so it has got a lot to go. Into this left-hander, again, no issues at all. In terms of stability of the car, it's planted. It is very, very, very planted, and as you see, set for 19.9, it's up there in the handling category as well, which is unusual for an FR car, because obviously FR cars usually suffer with understeer. This doesn't have that understeer. It's a very nice car to drive. So we get a 122.3, but our optimum is actually a 22 dead, believe it or not. So very, very fast car, into 2nd place on the overall times at Brands Hatch. As we go to Dragon Trail, now I'd already experienced a little bit that this car isn't the fastest in the world in terms of all the other cars in the category, so I knew it wouldn't be the best here. I knew that instantly. Now curbs, it sort of likes and doesn't like at the same time, so the car does bottom out, and you can see that on the TV camera. It's a very low car, so on some curbs it will bottom out, so you've got to be careful of that. And some little bumps do unsettle the car a little bit depending where it is in the gearing. So as you see, I stayed in 3rd there. Initially I was in 2nd, but the rear kept oversteering, so I went to 3rd, and that seemed to just help it quite a lot. Coming into here, you can see it's a handling car. We get to 118 mile an hour apex speed. Very, very good handling car. It comes through here, absolutely no problem. So we know it's going to be quick here. On that curb on the right hand side, if you bottom out on there, which you will do if you go over it, it will spin or be very close to spinning. You can catch this car. It's a very nice and easy car to catch, so do keep that in mind when you're racing. Straight onto the power here, where we test stability in that right hander. 30.6, we did get down to a 30.5. I say it's a handling car, and that's a handling sector with a bit of speed in there, so you know it's doing very well there. The chicane, what can I say? Nearly every lap I nailed it. So you literally just short shift to 6th and you can just fly through it. It's quite unbelievable actually. How many times I was flat through there. I think it's the best car I've ever driven through there. It's definitely up there at least. So leaving here, again you just see a bit of oversteer. Obviously getting to the mid top end. You know, as you get more towards the top end, it settles itself, which is why I don't really have to counter steer a lot. And we get a 136.666 in the end. Ooh, the devil's number. Ooh. So it's not the fastest there, but even so, it's still a pretty good shot. It's up there at the moment in terms of times. As we go to Interlagos here, we're going to test undulations, of course, curbs a little bit again, which is initially Senna S. It does struggle a little bit here. You can just see the rear coming out a little bit. The curbs are unsettling the car. Just that little bit where it becomes, you know, it's not strength there. Some cars are really strong in the Senna S, which get some good first sectors. Unfortunately, we only get 23.0, which is still okay, but you can get better. So through there we go. No issues with that corner. In fact, I think the car quite outside that corner. Dark green stuff you can touch. No issues here. I did get a bit of understeer here though, interestingly. But because of the way the car's geared, notice how I flicked to 4th gear early. The car has some nice little tricks where you can do that, and it will change the angle of the car slightly. So cars with tricks like this actually means you can actually get some pretty decent lap times out. As we continue on, no issues with undulations on this particular track. As I say, I think it's more bumps and curbs and bottoming out the car. That's where it starts to struggle. Going through here, again, look at that, flat out. No real issues with understeer, which is unusual for an FR car. As we leave this final corner, exit, just flat out, straight away. Look at that, no problems at all as we accelerate towards the line. So we can see that's a very good last sector as well. I think I said that to myself as well while I was doing it. That is the best last sector we do. Middle sector, 44.6. I don't think we go any quicker than a 6. We'll find out in a second anyway. It's a handling car, of course, so it is pretty up there in terms of times. There you go, we don't improve there. So our optimum is a 130.7, so right in the thick of it again. Struggling a little bit on power, very good on handling, and obviously the curbs are the issues there, why it doesn't go quicker at Interlagos. As we go to Suzuka, a very balanced circuit this, we've got a mixture of handling, high speed, curbs are slightly in there as well. As we come into here, trail braking, absolutely no issues at all. You can trail brake for days. I keep saying that statement lately because all cars seem to have that we've tested lately are good. As we come into the handling section of the S's. Now, this car, in my opinion, should do better in the S's, but the gearing is proper wacky. So, like coming out of here, I go to 4th gear, I short shift to 4th. If 3rd gear was slightly longer, it'd be so much faster in the S's. We get a 32.9, potentially that could be much quicker, and we just do that left-hander completely wrong there on this particular lap. Remember, we're only after optimums, so sometimes you'll see mistakes in the fastest lap, but overall optimums 1 in 10, 1 in 15 best sectors is much easier to get than 1 in 10 fastest laps, so that's why we do optimum times. Tidgney 1 and 2, absolutely no issues as we come into the chicane. Now we drop to 1st gear weirdly, and you really just want to straighten the car up, try and get towards that curb as fast as you can. As you see, we exit and we get a good amount of time leaving that hairpin, and we're fairly up on our time here. You know, it's fairly quick. You can see that in our optimum already. It's a 158.4. The car is pretty quick here, so it's a good car this, I must admit, and it's a car that I would suggest to beginners as well. I think it's a brilliant car. Spoon, no real issues. On exit a little bit, I say bottom mid-end of 2nd, 3rd gear is where it really struggles a little bit, getting towards that peak horsepower, but we're already at the peak torque. Does start to struggle there as we head towards the 130R now. 130R isn't flat in this. We just hit 155 at the speed trap. 147, 148 there, that shows it's a handling car. It's much faster than most as we then come in towards the chicane. Through there we go. Get a nice lovely run out there, just be careful on exit as we head towards the line. So again, another good lap, and our optimum stays at that 158.4. 46.5 middle, that is what I suspect with this car. You know, top speed is a slight issue, and it's slightly so in the apex speeds compared to the Renault. So let's see where it's come. And as you can see, it's come out in 5th place, so pretty good showing by the Volkswagen Beetle. You can see the times here, so it's very similar to the Citroen GT. I mean, if you look at the times across the board, 7,000th in it there. Now there's a bit of a difference there. I think the Beetle is slightly slower in a straight line. Interlagos, again very close, and Suzuka again very close. So very close across the board. These cars very similar in terms of times. 155. It just got 155, by the way. It's only just got that. I mean it's like inches just to get in that. So it is faster than like the Renault yesterday, but I don't think it's as fast as the Citroen in the straight line. So risk indicator of 2, it would be a 1 that, but curbs do cause issues with this car, so it is a 2. It's a very stable car, which is quite unexpected. I expected it to react like the 911 until we found out obviously it's an FR, not an MR car. But even so, a short wheelbase can sometimes mean it gets a bit sketchy in some places, but we didn't find that here, so that's all very well and good. So handling is very good. Very little understeer, especially for an FR car. Very little understeer. I couldn't really push enough to get the understeer. The only time that happened was when I was really low in a gear, which you generally don't want to do in this. It also has some tricks with gears, as I say. Interlagos, double right-hander. I was initially in 3rd, and if I went full throttle, went to 4th, it just forced the car to turn a little bit more, which is very nice. Allows the car to then be manipulated in more than one way, unlike other cars. Some oversteer in 2nd and 3rd gear, as usual in this class, more towards the bottom and middle end rather than the top end. And it's similar to the 911, and it's more stable at the height of the rev range. So it's interesting that an MR car and an FR car are so similar. I'm assuming the short wheelbase sort of makes up for that. So the weight transition in the car is a lot less compared to other FR cars, like the Citroen for example. That's a longer wheelbase. The weight will move a little bit more front to back, and that obviously the momentum of that weight, which I assume is why it's more stable and handles a bit more like the 911. I don't know the true physics behind it in this game because obviously I don't code it, but that's what it feels like at least anyway. And as I say, curbs are a significant issue. I did crash a few times at Dragon Trail because of the curbs. Literally, it bottomed out very easily. And that's because it's a Vision Gran Turismo car, I think, a little bit. Those cars are very low. They're concept cars, essentially. And what do concept cars look like? All the time at car shows, they're very low with absolutely massive wheels. And here we have that with the Volkswagen Beetle. So again, I hope you enjoyed that BoP test. Another interesting find, another car that is way up there. I don't think the physics have changed, by the way. I did a few tests and it seems right to me that that's there. So that's very interesting. Other people have done tests and said, yep, it seems right. So what can I say? We're having some real interesting results towards the end of the initial BoP test that we're doing. Of course, it's not stopping after we've done all these, of course. But what is next on the list? Of course, we've got to do these as well, the ones that have had BoP changed. We also have to look at this car, which has had a BoP change. In fact, that should say 110 in there, and I think it's 110 and 100, so let's put that in for you so you don't have to panic. You know, these two cars, if I remember rightly, it was when I had the G29, so obviously I started with the T300, then that had an issue. I did the G29 with 2 BoP tests, I think, and it was those two. So I am wondering, even though I do get myself up to speed, I am wondering whether that had a significant issue there. We'll find out. That we have to re-BoP them anyway because this had a 2% increase, this had a 1% increase, and this car seems to be flying everywhere now with all the top drivers in it. However, the Peugeot Vision Gran Turismo is next, which I'm expecting to absolutely annihilate Dragon Trail because from memory, it's a very speed-focused car. We will find out. So that will be, what day is it today? Sunday. So that'll be tomorrow, Monday, and then obviously we probably might do 2 for Monday, so it might be both of these, and then we'll finish off with these 2 by Wednesday. As I say, I hope you enjoyed that car profile. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. Video playlist there of all these BoP tests that we've done. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.